Hello, everybody. This is Pete from Paw Labs and giving an update on the WarGame work from yesterday. So here's the problem that I attempted to solve. What we have is one PC, whoever's going to host, is going to be player one, and that machine is going to be server. And then we have some other PC on the same network is player two. Now, both of these guys are sitting on their own databases, obviously, but the game folder version is not the same between the two machines. So that this is the problem. So we have two separate PCs, different game versions, and how to sync. Well, thinking about it, my solution, and this is a high-tech fancy maneuver here if you want to hold with me. Ready? Here's my solution. Was for the server, when the server comes up and player one logs in and player two logs in, is to send the version 12, since that's what the server sees is version 12. He's going to send a copy of version 12 game files to player two, where it's going to be saved into a temporary folder and then played from there. He's also going to have to do a copy to the player one, so that this player code itself, it doesn't matter if you're player one or player two, I'm going to get my data from the same location. So these temporary folders will have to be in synchronization, I think. Right now, the main focus I had yesterday was having player one log in, hosting the server. I guess that would be first, hosting the server, logging into the server, then start up a second instance and have player two log into the server. And when that happens, he then receives all the game files, the binaries of all the game files that he can then save into his temp folder for him to then, when he gets the command from the server that says play game, he'll then load that in and both sides will present their screens together, basically. That's the idea, anyhow. So this is my first attempt at doing this, although it was quite a day yesterday. And we have lots of temporary code, but this is my first time to really tear into and rework or mess heavily with this client server model. And one of the things that it finally dawned on me, sometimes I'm a little slow. I miss the days of having a team where we all brainstorm it together and draw it all out. And we got 2 or 3 sets of eyes on things. So anyhow, that's a side point. So this hasn't changed terribly much. I've written a send file. We have the second player logging in, that when he logs in, we send him the other player from the game. Those are functions that are called down here. The network data thread is still alive and well. He's doing stuff based on the person's state, so that's kind of like automatically kind of stuff that's done. But basically, he receives and then sends answers, okay? And so none of this has really terribly changed. My original attempt was for that mandatory structure to send all these files, and I didn't like that at all, so that all got commented out. A lot of work's got to get done now to clean this up. But pretty much the server or the client now sends to say, hey, send me the JSON file, send me the map, send me the grid, So he walks down the files of the game and has the server send them to him. So that in turn caused a serious rework of the game client, the server client module. Okay. This was originally written where you're dealing with the what are they called? I'm drawing a complete blank. It brings up the console windows. That's it. This is originally designed to work with console windows, and the client responds to data passed from the server, okay? Other than you log in. Once you log in, that's the only real time that the client is sending to the server. He's sending the connection, and upon receipt of the connection, you're given responses that you can then ask. And then once you get past a certain amount, you can send some other stuff, but you're all doing it from the console window. So once we've torn that window out of the console window out of the game, then we kind of are on a stuck proposition. There's nothing really in the client server side that sends to the server. Okay. Problem number 2 is that this is designed to work on with the console windows. As long as the console window is up, you have a live connection to the server, and when you close your console window, you've logged off and you're gone. Okay, so it's kind of I log in, I do my thing, and then I get out. And if you don't do anything for a certain amount of time, you get bumped off anyhow. So what I kept running into was every time I tried to send a message from the client, he wanted to create a new connection to the server, but I locked down the server to say, you only get 2 connections. And now all of a sudden, every time I wanted to send another message, it wouldn't give me a new connection to the server, because that would mean I would be on 3 and we're locked at 2. So the first big change I did was to rip the parameter, the thread structure parameter, and made it a global parameter from a single use sort of thing. Now it's global. So when you log in, let's come down here to the bottom. When you log in, the parameter connection is 0. We open our connection thread or connection to the server, and now when I go to send data, I am not closing the session to the server. I'm leaving it open. Okay. So at the moment, it stays open until I shut down my application. But the goal wasn't to figure, well, again, we go back to the schematic at the beginning. I'm trying to figure a way that I can send to the server and get responses back. So this changed pretty dramatically down here on the server connection. So we now only connect the first time when the connection value is 0. Then we open our database connection, and it's going to be open for the whole game, that these 2 people are logged in. Nobody else can log into the server. So the next piece was how to go about sending the request to the server. I'm obviously not going through this route. To the server and receive back an entire file that is automatically sent to the temporary system, the temporary folder structures. So that got to be kind of interesting. We'll jump over here to the WarGame side of things. And this right now is just a preliminary version of the code. One of my all-time mottos of life is first make it work, then make it slick. So here what we're doing is when you join a game, and so far I'm only centered on the joining of the game of the second player. So the second player goes to log in, doesn't matter what he tries to do. We're sending a login record, and we're then going to go ahead and connect to the server. And when that happens, when this transmit happens, the server side will go, hey, you're the second person coming into this game. Our game only has 2 players. You don't get to choose your player. I'm sending you back a response and assigning you a name. So with this transmit, the thread of execution follows the transmit, which goes down, does the logging into the server, and sends this command to the server, to which the server instantly replies back. So it actually comes back to here and says, okay, here's your response from the server. And it happens to be an assigned name, which is the only thing that can do. And so we update the little edit box to say, hey, you've received your identity in this game. Here you are. And then the next thing we do is we're verifying that we have our connection to the server. It's still open. Remember, that's a global parameter now. So we want to set, we're going to set this receive file to temporary directory WarGame game version. Now, what I'm also going to do here is clean this folder out. Right now I'm doing it manually, but no big deal. It isn't. Again, the focus of this demo is the schematic up front. So what we're doing is we send a network string that says, okay, send the JSON file. All right. Now, when the server over here picks up the send the JSON file, and these commands will be changed. It just right now it was trying to get something to work. So he's going to come in and print it to his little console window, and then he's going to call the function that says send file. This person, whoever just contacted me, send him the JSON file. And let's jump to there. I'm going to hold control down and double click send file. And then he jumps me straight to the procedure that says, okay, we're going to come in here and we're going to read this file because you gave me the path to the file. Well, the path to the file actually comes from down here on the calling, I believe is where that came from. The JSON file. Oh, I didn't show you where those came from. I set those up initially down here when we start our server up. I think I went into this on the last video. There's a startup JSON that's created and written to the same folder as the server exe. So the first thing the server does is read that to know what he's doing. So that's where he's got his IP address, his port. Where does the game file that you've selected, where does it source from? That kind of thing. So I went ahead and loaded up these variables with the path of all the stuff in our game. Okay. So when we request for the JSON file, he already knows what all of this is. So he then sends, I'm going to control double click that again. So he now knows the file. He's going to say, hey, well, I'm sending this file. Then he's going to read the file and get his length and build his own little memory ID thing to handle it, the memory instance, and he's going to read the data into memory, and then he's going to turn around and send it. Okay, and then he's going to do his homework, clean everything up, and get back to doing nothing. Okay, so on the player client side, that's going to come in. Wait a minute, we're on join game, yes. So we've said, receive this file. Oh, no, excuse me. We've set that variable. We've said right here, send me this file. So virtually, it's literally instantaneous. Less than a half second later, you're going to start receiving this buffer. Okay, so I allocate 7,000K of space, which these files end up being the 20 by 25 was uh, uh, 6,000 bytes or something. So that's plenty of size. We could make it 10 just to be safe for a little bit, but that's something that has to be, I guess, long term dealt with. What we do is we get the buffer that he sent us. We then create our receive file for where we're putting the data. And right now it's being put to a WarGame folder inside the temp directory. And then we're going to create game JSON. Okay. The structure that the game actually exports is a game JSON and then map underscore 00 for the first map. If we had a second, it would be 01. Having seconds, maps, and that sort of thing is out of scope for us, but the structure's there. And then it's grid underscore 00. And then you have the unit sprite sheet, and then you have the action menu. So we can actually change that if we want per game. So the unit action, cool little menu thing that pops up. So those sprite sheets are the order of what gets built. So he comes in, receives it, writes the file, frees his buffer, and then he goes right into, hey, give me the map, give me this. All right, now let's see this in action, because that's the real thing you're here to watch. And this is kind of a funny way to do it, but I need two different instances. First, let's come out and say, okay, well, all right. Sometimes this is a pain. All right, let's see. Where are you? You're the video game. So you're who I'm going to run as the EXE for the game player. However, I currently have in my local temp, I have a WarGame folder here. Come on, go to WarGame. There we go. All right, so we already have it. That was last night's victory. All right, so I'm going to delete all those. So we have it all gone, and you can see that right up front. Now, what I'm going to do is run one instance of this game player, and the game player will slide him over here, and he's going to host the game. We're going to start the server up. Now the server is echoing a whole bunch of information. So he just told us that he's received this and that the allies have logged in. And now what I'm going to do is run the source as my second player. So I have two executables that are running. Come on, you can do it. I know. I'm eating up your resources too. Okay, come on. There he is. Okay, so now we have our second instance here, and then we have our server here. So we're going to join the game, and we're going to connect to the server. Now, keep your eyes focused on the server side more than anything else. And we're going to connect to the server. And so we've connected. He's sent his George request, which was his login to get his name. This is a debug window. So he's received his identity of Nazi. So the Nazis have now logged in. And then we turned around and we sent all these folders over. So we sent those files. And you can see how fast it goes. And here, well, let's close this. We don't need the debug window open. So here's our game files that it just sent. And just the proof of being in the pudding, yes, I can double click this and let's open our game map to make sure nothing was corrupted in the passing of the data. There we go. And presto, we have our map. So it looks pretty good to me. So now there's a lot of code cleanup that's got to happen. And I'm going to comment the bejesus out of this code. And I think this is a good, well, I don't know. I don't know. I think I want to get it a little bit farther before I put it back out there for folks to download. But I guess that concludes this video. It's probably long enough. I want to thank you for your time and your watching this. Um, and we'll get together again real soon. Thanks for your viewing.